Imagine this. You're at a crowded party, surrounded by laughter, conversation, life, and yet you feel disconnected, alone. Carl Jung believed this experience reveals something profound, a psychological signal. He didn't see the loner as antisocial. He saw them as searchers, people who withdraw not out of weakness, but out of necessity, to find truth within. In a world obsessed with constant connection, those who choose solitude are often misunderstood, labeled distant, cold, strange. But what if the desire for aloneness was not a problem, but a call inward, toward what Jung called the self, a union of the conscious and the unconscious. He believed we are not whole until we bring these parts together, and this integration requires solitude. Moments without distraction, without performance, without noise. In this silence, our inner world begins to speak. We encounter what Jung called the shadow, the repressed parts of our psyche, the fears, wounds, and truths we've hidden, even from ourselves. To face the shadow is uncomfortable, but transformative. Because when we bring the darkness into light, we begin the process Jung called individuation, becoming our most authentic self. This journey isn't for everyone, but for some, especially the loner, it is essential. Solitude becomes a gateway, a place to grow, to create, to understand. Jung knew this well. He built a retreat in Bollingen, where he lived in silence, away from the world, carving symbols into stone, recording dreams, conversing with his unconscious. He believed that creativity, true, inspired creativity, does not come from the surface of the mind. It comes from the depths, from the unseen, from what lies beneath the noise. And for the loner, solitude becomes the soil where these ideas take root. Great thinkers throughout history knew this. Virginia Woolf in her room, Thoreau in the woods, Einstein lost in thought. They didn't just accept solitude, they embraced it. Because in silence, thoughts are allowed to breathe, dreams are allowed to grow. But this journey isn't always peaceful. There is a price: loneliness, alienation, inexpressible depth. Jung recognized that the loner may struggle to share their inner world, not because they are closed, but because what they've discovered is difficult to translate. How do you explain what you've seen when the world has never looked for it? Jung offered a solution. Find connection, but not just any connection, meaningful ones. With those who see you, who understand that solitude isn't rejection, it's reflection. He never argued for isolation. He believed in balance, solitude for depth, connection for grounding. The two are not enemies, but dualities. And in this dance, the self becomes whole. Jung also introduced the idea of introversion, a natural inward focus, not a flaw, but a gift. Introverts, he said, draw strength from within. They don't need crowds to feel alive. They need space, stillness. The loner is not less human, but perhaps more tuned in to the subtle, to the sacred, to the self. So how do we live this way without getting lost in the quiet? By approaching solitude mindfully, not as an escape, but as a practice. Journaling, reflection, stillness without stimulation. Not to numb, but to notice, to feel what we usually avoid, to hear what we usually silence, because beneath the chaos of life, there is a voice. Your voice, waiting to be heard. And when we hear it, when we face it, when we integrate all we are, we begin to live with clarity. Solitude is not loneliness, it is listening. And when paired with real, meaningful connection, it becomes transformation. This is the loner's gift, to walk the inner path, to know the self, and then return to the world with presence. You do not need to fear your solitude. You only need to honor it, because sometimes to be alone is the first step to becoming whole.